how did you learn how to skip records?
Kind of had two things happen. There was a guy that I went to high school with that got turntables kind of around the same time as me. He's totally scratchy. His name was Jathan. He actually had a record shop in Seattle for a while. We were like trying to figure out how to do it and learn together. But I never did parties. I just bought tons of vinyl and tried to collect samples and all the things and had turntables. Tried to be a scratchy guy. I was terrible at it. And eventually another friend of mine was asked to do a disco party and he needed another DJ, James Mulry, old DJ friend. Like he was DJing a little bit before me and kind of like showed me a bunch of stuff and then was like, you have all the records to do this party. Why don't you do the party? And I had never really thought of it before, which is funny, but I also wasn't like going out to see DJs ever. And then he needed help with this party and I went and did it with him and it was amazing that my records could make something happen. And I was fully addicted after that. I grew up in Spokane, Washington. It's like a city, but not a big city. And all I wanted to do growing up was get to a bigger city. And eventually got to Seattle to go to school, completely dropped out to do other things, and then ended up in San Francisco, and then ended up here in New York. If I won the lottery, it'd obviously be more money than I need, so I'd figure out some way to help people with it. My favorite late spot to go eat is probably M Noodle, just because they're open late enough. Yeah, that's good. Chives and tofu, pretty into it. I really like club music. Baltimore Club was a super like gateway for me to like some electronic music in a way. Because it combined hip hop and it was dance music and it was fast. That led me to the original stuff, which is like truly folk music from Baltimore, Philly, and Jersey. Like they all kind of have their own history of this club music. And it still exists in those places. Definitely, like Jersey Club especially is still rolling with lots of people doing it and making it and influencing but as far as like going to a party and people not being caught off guard in a regular setting by that kind of club music, it would be great if that came back. My worst request ever was this. At Drexler's in Manhattan, a woman comes up to me and she says, I need some Yiddish music. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? She said to me, and I was like, what? I was like, I don't have any. The first parties I ever did were warehouse parties, loft parties, and it was a comfortable space for all my friends to be, and it wasn't a bar. You weren't forced to buy anything. Just like those kind of spaces are harder and harder to find in New York City, the changing real estate, everything culture of you have to pay to be anywhere. And I miss those things. And I still meet people that were in high school in those days and they were all ages parties at warehouses and they tell me those were like the best parties of their life. And I fully agree because they were like the best parties of my life too. Well, musically a guilty pleasure is definitely Italo disco or maybe like Hall & Oates Greatest Hits. I also play a 90s party and get a tremendous response from Barbie Girl and Sandstorm and all those things. But truly, even the 90s stuff, the cheesiest stuff, like I still like those songs because it's kind of like house based. So it's still like house music, even though it's of the candiest variety. I've been wanting to start a party that was just classic jacking house, bass music, club music, but like kind of like with the Detroit, Chicago basis of it. If I had that party, it would be called Work It to the Bone. I think the idea of parties being about community more as versus bar sales and bottles and more draw than just a place and music and a sound system. Places I've played that I loved. On tour with Zebra Katz, we went so many amazing places. We were in Prague and played in a bathhouse. So it had all these little rooms with different things going on. We performed in this one room with a real short ceiling and Zebra Katz was like hanging from the ceiling off poles and people were freaking out. It was just a sweaty, tiled box in a foreign country, and it was just crazy. But as far as places I am playing that are fun, House of Yes is super fun. The crowd is super open. The staff is amazing and welcoming to all kinds of different people. In high school, I listened to everything. It was an exciting point to learn and dip into everything. Of course, the very start was like heavy metal, and then rap and things started combining with those with like Public Enemy and Anthrax and things like that. And then from rap music, it was fully like every single thing that rap music ever sampled, which is everything. And that's what led me to digging and collecting records, was trying to find all those references. And it's such an amazing gateway. What's a pet peeve in the party scene? Sharing headphones with people and they give them back really sweaty. That's not very cool. Generationally, I feel like there's a different level of patience. Like the request thing is pretty intense at a lot of parties that I end up at, because it's just the opposite energy of what you're doing. Like you're DJing, you're excited about the music yourself. You want to like share what you're going to do with people, and all you're doing is giving. And then when someone makes a request, it's like truly the opposite emotion, and even like the opposite intention. It's like, it's pretty derailing. I would say New Orleans is a pretty amazing place to DJ. There's this obviously huge live music culture there. So when you're DJing, often dancers come up and will be tipping you for DJing. Just like, not even for a song, just because that's what you do to someone that's providing music. And it kind of felt similar there, where it's not a lot of, the parties I've done, it wasn't like a ton of requests. It wasn't like people asking for things. It was people being appreciative and thankful for what you're doing, because they like realize what you're giving to them and to the room. My favorite record store? What's my favorite record store? Anywhere that has dollar records. When I first came up in Seattle, buying records a lot was this place called Second Time Around. It was in the U District on the Ave, and not exaggerating, they had 9-cent records. And the fact that they were so cheap, condition or not, taught me more about music than anything else ever, because I would bring home 10 to 20 a day of new things to learn about, because it was no investment, it didn't matter. And it was a way to like learn about music. And this was a long time ago. It was like pre-YouTube. There wasn't an easy way to like listen to everything as there is now. So that's the best, is when records are cheap, and they still are. It's crazy. There's still dollar records. I play a ton of dollar records because they're good. If you're starting out, the best thing to do is practice so much more than you think you need to. Do it at home by yourself until it's right before you ever even try to get a gig. Personally, I wish I had gone to like a million parties before I ever DJ'd one. I think when you start, you want to be heavy-handed and hammer it out. And as time has passed, I'm like finally feeling that, I don't know, I just have an approach that has aged with me, and it's good.